I just got done with a really cool phone call. So, Markiplier, you may have heard of him before.
God damn it! This is like the most terrifying game I've ever played!
He just finished shooting a huge project in space, and apparently he was telling me that watching our Corridor Crew videos taught him how to go out and make that project, which is pretty nuts to me. So if all you guys watching this right now feel like you're all loaded up with knowledge about how to make movies, but you don't really know how to apply it, well, I asked Mark if he'd come in and tell us a story of how he did apply it. Let's see what kind of problems and crazy stuff he had to solve and how he learned to do it from watching our videos. Cut to a week later.
Hi. Hi, my name is Mark. These lovely people have invited me back into their home once more.
So you've made a jump that a lot of people try to make, which is that of filmmaking. You're trying to get into narrative filmmaking, directing, producing, telling stories, but you are self-taught.
What I wanted to do with my original channel is I wanted to make narrative stuff where I play all the characters.
Oh.
And so I'm multiplying myself. That's why it's called Markiplier.
So it's an old clone like video reference.
Exactly. It's Mark and Multiplier together. And when I started, I was actually watching a lot of Corridor videos at the time. And I would watch these videos over and over again because I would see like the special effects and the things that were possible with making videos on YouTube, but doing it yourself. And I would say to myself, this is what I want to do. And I tried really hard and I couldn't do it. I was not good enough. But what I could do is practice making YouTube videos and uploading by playing games. Games was my backup plan.
Solid backup plan.
Yeah, it worked out. I'm not complaining about it. It worked out. But it's always been my passion to make higher production stuff.
So, Mark, you went from somebody who didn't study film to watching a bunch of videos on the internet and practicing to full on executing a multi-hour long narrative with full visual effects and acting and sound and crews and all that kind of stuff.
Welcome aboard the Invincible 2, Captain.
Mark just dropped a huge project in space.
Basically, the title says it all. You're in space with me, things go wrong because you're in space with me, and you have to fix it because you play the captain.
Failsafes offline.
It's a narrative, it has cinematography, it has VFX, a lot of VFX. So 2.5 years ago, you visited us to pick our brains about building a first-person camera rig. I love first-person rigs, but getting a cinematic first-person camera rig is not easy. You basically have to invent it from scratch.
The objective was to have the character of the viewer as the captain. They needed to be a lot more personable. There's a lot more interaction you can do when they're literally the character and they have their hands there and they can reach out and grab it and they can interact with it. See, imagine if this suddenly had a hand coming out at me and then slapping me in the face, just like that. Thank you. Head-mounted rigs have been done before in like Hardcore Henry. That was a GoPro, so super wide, shaky and stuff like that. So there was a lot of elements to put into it to make sure that the experience wasn't nauseating, was still flexible, like the person could move around, jump around, but not in a way that it's just wibbly wobbly camera. Mm-hmm. So we needed like a high quality camera. We actually had a Monster on this thing.
Damn, the Monster is like almost as big as this guy, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Poor Jordan, our camera operator's neck, was wearing 22 pounds every day.
Whoa, he looks like a dropship gunner from like a sci-fi film.
I mean, pretty much, right?
He was throwing himself down, he was landing on the floor, he was going all over the place, he was twisting, running. He was basically his own stunt guy because no other stunt person could potentially do that stuff. So we had to figure out a way to rig it all up so that he could be safe and still be able to be a character. So the trick of first person and interactive is keeping everything moving really quickly. You can't cut. You have to plan a transition with a wipe or anything like that. This is actually an opportunity for a cut. So we actually cut on that wipe over. So all of this problem solving is problem solving that's happening as we're filming every day. And so, you know, some of our cuts are great. Some of our cuts are clearly just dummy replacement shots.
The dummy shots that you do have in this series are mwah.
A lot of time it's me throwing my own dummy. So it's grab me leaning back. That's still me. This is where we've gone to a new shot. The captain doesn't have me anymore, but I'm kind of like off frame. I throw myself into the wall. And then I'm on the ground here, I just stand to back up, as if I was just thrown.
Nice. That dummy to you switch, there's a term for that. Do you know what the term is? Here's a little hint. Which state did you film in?
Oh, is it Texas switch?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
So it's only natural that while you guys are filming in Austin that you would use a Texas switch. In fact, it's illegal to do it anywhere else.
Okay, that's fair. That's good to know.
Oh
Oxygen levels rising.
So this is a shot that I wrote, and I was like, I don't know if we can do this right, but that particular one, it's always simpler than you think. You just put him on a dolly. All he has to do is make contact with my throat. I lift myself up, and then everything moves around. It's just like so fun to have this like mixture of ideas. It's a melting pot of everyone's best ideas. And you just like throw every idea in. We'll filter out the ones that don't work. They may not even be bad, they just don't work. And then we'll just like be left with a product that's as good as it could be.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's such a good attitude.
Unbelievable. You deserve what's coming to you.
This is actually an interesting frame to stop on because it's like the big tragedy of VFX. This shot is not hard. Right? You know this.
Yeah.
Right? This shot, I mean, making the model was obviously detailed stuff.
Yeah, unless you just go and you buy it.
Setting it up to explode, the actual effects itself. But this is put the model there, set it up to explode, and hit go. Right? Everyone about this one is like, oh, it looks so cool.
It does
and
look
you're
pretty
right,
cool.
it looks great. But the actual work comes in the other ones with comping and tracking and like motion. This is a static explosion.
Wait, Mark, where are you getting all these terms from? Comping, tracking, explosions?
Learned it from you. And everyone else on the couch. So, I learned everything I know about VFX from you guys. I didn't go into these videos that you were making with the VFX Artist React specifically, thinking that I was going to learn anything. I watched them because they were entertaining and interesting. An insight into movies, which I enjoy, but I haven't watched the website ones at corridordigital.com, where you can see bonus behind scenes and extra content. Why not check it out today? Link in the description.
Look at this guy.
First stop, the warp core, the heart and soul of the ship.
With this shot here in the opening, there's a VFX plasma ball, but this entire ceiling is a replacement, right? The reason this is here is because we talked about this, what we needed to convey. We needed to give the ship a sense of size that we did not have on set, right? Because the set is very small. To give it a sense of scale, you can create set extensions. Like for this, we only have so much budget for a reactor room. And the room itself, this is maybe like 10 feet by 12 feet, not big. But you use VFX to create a set extension, and then you create a story excuse of how I f***ed it up, it's about to blow, the actual person puts a shutter down. You have a story reason to not see it, and also, we literally never open that window. We are looking at that wall.
Exactly.
Because that wall is not expensive. That's a cheap wall, and I like a cheap wall.
I'm impressed by something I just noticed right here, while you're talking about this. It's not just the technical side of things, but you understand the function in storytelling and the function in production. Whereas like, okay, we need to make the ship look big from a story point of view because our set is not that big. Also, we need to do this in the beginning and look at something that we never look at again because then we don't have to spend the money doing this effect shot over and over and over. And so not only do you understand what you need for the story, you understand what you need for the production, and you're bringing both of those together.
I learned that from your videos. I think of the Portal one.
You ready? Check this out. Let's do this.
Like all the craziness and the planning behind it was like, but it's all a tool to tell what you're trying to tell, and it's trying to illustrate something. The VFX is a tool to help tell the story. It is pretty, but it's not just pretty.
Hi, I'm coming to you live from space to talk about the other kind of space, the square kind. That's right, if you're in the market for a website, and you gotta build it, but you don't quite got the chops to hire an entire web dev team, guess what? They have you covered. Squarespace has a whole bunch of great features. For example, our website, corridordigital.com, you know that it's a subscription-based service. Turns out you can do the same thing on Squarespace. You don't actually have to have a whole team build it for you custom. Who would have thought? So that's pretty cool. Also, you got a whole bunch of great traffic and analytics, which are key to knowing what's going on with your website and what makes it effective. You can think of running a website like running a spaceship. For example, you need a good crew, and they need to be able to do important things. Well, on a Squarespace website, you can have multiple contributors working together to make the site as good as it can possibly be. Squarespace also has great integration of video, so you want to embed some YouTube videos or Vimeo videos and make your website all snazzy and move. Well, you can do just that. Also, you own all the content that you upload to Squarespace, so you can rest easy there. You can go to squarespace.com right now for a free trial, and when you're ready to drop some actual cash and make this thing happen, well, if you go to squarespace.com/corridorcrew, you can get 10% off your next website or domain purchase. All right, I'm getting close to the planet that I'm heading to, so gotta sign off. See you guys later.
Captain, what the hell is...
You guys did a lot of videos about 3D scans, so I actually asked about 3D scans before we did this. And this is how we were able to get this CG double. So lights go out, I do a little motion, and then that's full CG double, puts a motion blur on that, I'm out in the darkness.
Was that your idea to do the lights out gig, or was it the VFX supervisor?
It was actually the lighting team.
Hey, watch it! We wouldn't want to have an accident now, would we?
So we have this joke where we do a head replacement. It's not perfect, but it's effective, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be perfect. And this is why I was talking with the VFX supervisor. It's like, is this possible? And it was like, yeah, if you don't mind a little jank to it. And so I'm like, I'm good with jank. I love jank.
I mean, it's changing perspective and lighting on it and everything. Yeah, just having the lighting in there in general, like, does so much to psychologically anchor it. All right, so on the topic of jank, like, you know, no matter the budget, there's always something janky on a film set. You're just trying to hide it. So, like, what was an example of that here?
These doors. These doors. So you can push the button or it's motion sensor and it'll open, right? They open slow. And on a spaceship when we're running out there, we can't go like, the reactor's about to blow. It's like a grocery store one, right? So we ended up actually ripping out all the motors that we paid $600 per door and had a guy. There's many times in here where I am doing it because the captain will go past me, I will lean down, pull a door open, and then I will go around in the door and come out the door. I'll be like, duh, captain.
Wow.
That's literally how we did it. And then you'll see Isaac, the AD, doing it. You'll see like a lot of the grip people doing it. You know, just like whoever was there.
Bless my stars. Was it the nightmare about the spaceship again?
I look at this and I can pick it apart of things that I know I can do better because I learned.
What did you learn after you made this project as a director?
There's a realization that there are people in other departments that will know it better than you ever will, and you need to trust them. The other thing that I learned, similarly to learning about VFX, learning enough about every department so that you know when you're asking them to do something, it's not an unreasonable request, and you have an expectation of how much time that request takes. Therefore, you're only asking them of things that you know can be done in the day. You, as a director, are integrating with people and you're trying to communicate what's in your head, which they cannot imagine. So you have to be as clear and as concise as possible.
Well, yeah, directing is like one of those things where like you don't quite know what the job is until you start doing it. And even then, there's a constant question of like, is this what all the other directors do? Or is this just me assuming that this is what all directors do? I'm just, you know, dancing the part.
Really, being a YouTuber kind of prepped me for it because I only work with people that I like working with and who are kind and nice and able to do the work that needs to be done. And when you get on a film set, every single person is like that. It's a dream.
Yeah.
They're doing this because they love it and it's passion, it's art. So you get to be in a room full of people that just really want to make your vision come true. That is a beautiful feeling. So you can't betray that trust. You just can't.
The year is 2023, and Markiplier gets his first computer from his pappy. He sits down and he wants to make a YouTube channel. What would you recommend a YouTuber starting out do in this day and age?
Oh, fresh-faced, pimples everywhere, a bowl cut, nerd, straight-up virgin, me. In a lot of ways, it's a journey of trial and error, right? So you have your first project, and it's garbage.
Always.
It's garbage, it's so bad. Realize that making videos is the start of a never-ending journey of looking inward at yourself and measuring of what you're capable of doing against an arena of people that have been doing it for years. It's like any creative medium, there are people in that field that are better than you are at that moment, and that can be crippling, that can be devastating. Understand that creation is not a comparative against those people, it's a comparative against yourself. What you make next is only comparable to what you made before. Even if you haven't made anything, is only comparable to what you made before, which is nothing. Therefore, you have literally nothing to lose by starting. You cannot fail just by making your first one. I literally wouldn't be here if you hadn't started making videos. There may have been other YouTube channels that helped along the way, but the original ideas came from seeing your unbelievably impressive, even to this day, videos that you put out there on the internet. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would not be here if you hadn't decided to make videos with Sam early on. All these people that are part of Corridor. I've always said this to my friends and people that I work with, like, inspiration is the most valuable currency. If you can inspire someone to do something, they can move mountains.
So if you want to be inspired, go check out In Space. Part 1 came out a few weeks ago from when this video is dropping, and Part 2 probably just came out. It's really cool. There's nothing else quite like it. It feels like you're both playing a game and watching a movie at the same time. It's really cool. It is you going out there and doing something creative and fully like yourself, while also acknowledging all the other art forms that are around it. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was really amazing.
Thanks, man.
All right, so taking a little cue from In Space here, you can go on your own little adventure. You can decide if you want to subscribe, or if you have subscribed, or if you didn't subscribe or not subscribed. Well, your 2 options are here on the screen. Who knows? Maybe they're both really cool. Maybe one's a punishment. Go check it out. Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.